Utilizing international breaks can be very important on Sorare, and in today's video we will talk in specific about the upcoming AFCON break. We have, or I have found a lot of good players you can buy at a budget, and also some teams you can build all together. And I have some very interesting players on this list, and I feel just in general the AFCON is always getting overlooked. And especially now, when it's just a little under 1 month, it's the perfect time to actually start preparing and actually picking up players you should actually use in the AFCON. And starting off, we have Calvin Bassey. He's from Nigeria, and he is actually starting to get some game time at Fulham as well. He is nailed at Nigeria, and he gets some good scores. And also Nigeria are a pretty dominant team, and they have some pretty good fixtures. Ecuador, Guinea, Ivory Coast, and also Guinea. I don't know too much about those two teams, but I don't think they are too good, and I think Nigeria will come out of this group pretty easily. And on top of that, you will have some utility from Bassey when Fulham plays as well. I don't know why he hasn't played the last game. I think it may be because of 5 yellow cards. I don't know. Do your own research on that one, but I think he will. If he's fit, he will play in the AFCON, Africa Cup of Nations. Yeah, moving on, we have Musa Niakate, and he's a very good budget option in my opinion. He is the centre back from Senegal, besides Koulibaly, which will be later in the list as well. He's also getting some game time at Nottingham Forest, which isn't the most dominant team, but I think this will be a hidden gem. Probably one of the best players to get for the AFCON. He is extremely cheap, and he has Gambia as his first fixture, which is just an incredible fixture. Like, I can see Senegal winning 3 or 4-0, and he will get a lot of passes completed. And yeah, Senegal is a very dominant side, and I think they are one of the favorites to win the whole thing. So yeah, this is a very good one. Moving on, we have Patson Daka in the forward spot. He has actually done pretty well for Leicester recently as well, so his price are a little bit high at the moment, but I think it will come down eventually, so you can decide when you want to pick him up. But I also think Zambia can do something. I think they may qualify after Morocco. Patson Daka has been on fire for Zambia recently, scoring in almost every single game. So yeah, very interesting one here. I think he can be a hidden gem. I think many of you will overlook Patson Daka in this AFCON tournament. The next one is Mustafa Mohamed, the Egyptian forward, and yeah, when he plays for Egypt, he is the main man up front, the number 9, and he is going to be a very important player for them, with some decent fixtures here, especially against Mozambique. I think he can be a very good player with a cheap price. And one of the reasons I don't look at the Sorare scores is because often when the AFCON qualifiers aren't covered by Sorare, so that's why I'm not showing them right up now, because often when I scout players from, for example, the Euros 2024 qualifiers, you can often see the scores around here, but you can't do that now, unfortunately, because Sorare isn't covering that. But I have, of course, done a lot of research besides Sorare data on this one, so if you want to do your own research, I will recommend you to use a football mobile app, Footmob. I'm not... this is not the ad or anything, or I'm not sponsored, but that's the app I use, and it's so easy to do your research there. So Mustafa Mohamed is a very good shout. The next one is Soufiane Amrabat. We know how good he is for Morocco. He hasn't been doing too well against Manchester United, I mean, but some very good fixtures for Morocco, and yeah, definitely one to pick up. He has always been very good for Morocco, so I'm pretty sure Manchester United need him to stay, but I think he will go and play for Morocco. The next one we have another forward, and it's a forward from Nigeria, Kelechi Iheanacho. We know how good he can be for Nigeria. Hopefully he will play. Nigeria have very many attackers, but in the recent games for Nigeria he has scored in almost every single one or getting a decisive. So hopefully, and he's now back from injury I think as well. So yeah, we know how good he can be when he's on his best, and with very little game time he always tends to get decisive, especially for Nigeria and also for Leicester in some cases. So I think this is a very good option. You can also go for Avonovi. I think he's injured currently. Or you can go for a player like, of course you can go for the very expensive option Osimhen, but I think Iheanacho is a very good option for him. The next one is the first goalkeeper on this list. You can of course choose Onana, but he's very expensive. I would personally go for Edouard Mendy, because Senegal is pretty good defensively. They are playing against Gambia. This is a fixture to target. This is such a good fixture, and I think personally that Senegal will go very, very long. I think they will win this group, or I think Cameroon and Senegal will either, yeah, I think they will go through. I'm very sure of that. So they will either be 1 or 2 in that group. But the fixture against Gambia just is so appealing to me. Gambia are very far behind everyone else. I think they're like 120th on the ranking, 6 times as bad as Senegal. So I think that is just an incredible fixture. And also his L15, 13 in L15. That's insane. So low L15. So I would personally use him in cap to 40 maybe, or cap to 20, or cap to 70. Use him in the cap lineup. You can also use him of course in another lineup, because he will be good everywhere, but especially if you can utilize that low L15 it will be very nice. And a partner up here, and like before we go any further, the downside, he's pretty expensive. He is pretty expensive, but of course you may get some utility out of him if his Al-Ali Saudi team does well. I think they can qualify for a Sudamericano or something. But yeah, I think it either way can be very worth it to just play him. And the next one is Koulibaly. If you can partner up Edouard Mendy with Koulibaly, I think it can be very good. And this is just an example of a player that plays for Al Hilal. He gets a lot of utility when they are doing well in the cup. Yeah, we can see that he's just an incredible SO5 scorer. Incredible. And looking at this limited, he is currently at, yeah, a little over 12 euros. I think this is incredible value of money. And here we have, yeah, especially in rear actually. Like, not incredible of course, but because you don't have any coverage outside the AFCON. But also Senegal will, I don't, like that's the thing, I don't know if the, what is it called? Yeah, I don't know if the qualifiers to the World Cup is covered, but if it is, it can be very good as well to have Senegal, because they tend to be very dominant in those games. But I'm once again, I'm not sure if it's covered, but if it is, it can be very good to have them for the long-term future as well. And yeah, you don't know, Saudi League could be covered next season, but I personally don't think so, but we will see. But these two are very, very great options in my opinion, and yeah, you don't need to look everywhere else, just look at the scores. Fantastic scores from Koulibaly. It's and also we see that he can do it in the Premier League. Back to, like, this is just insane. And moving on, we have Sarr. Pape Matar Sarr. He is currently playing at Tottenham, and he's under 23 until 2027, which is just incredible. He has some good scores in him, and I think he will be pretty nailed for Senegal as well. One thing to keep in mind is that I think I would rather go for Gueye, because he's a bit on the expensive side. Idrissi Gana Gueye, yeah, I think, like, when I look back at it, I think this is a much greater option. I think he's a little bit more nailed than Sarr. And he has also some very good scores in him, and I think he play pretty advanced in Senegal, and especially against Gambia he will be a very good option. But you lack a little bit of a creative player, but I think he can still be a very good option, much cheaper, so that's also why you probably don't need to spend too much money on a midfielder that will probably score the same as Sar. And that's also, of course, if you're only going to use him in the AFCON competition. And also these scores are a little bit concerning because why is he DNP? Yellow card, that's probably because of the 5th yellow card. But as you can see, Everton has been doing very well in the last couple of games, and he isn't hitting so good scores, so that's a little bit concerning. Another player that I really like from Senegal is Diatta, if he's going to play. Yeah, I think this price is very good. And he is a more advanced player and more creative player, and I think he is pretty nailed, and if he plays he will be a very, very good option to have, especially against Gambia. Because you want, in a very dominant game, where one team is very dominant to another, you need players that actually can either get a lot of passes, a defender that gets a clean sheet, a lot of passes. The worst thing you actually can have is a midfielder that is very defensive, that only plays passes in the defense or a little bit forward. You need those players that is up the field and can get you those decisives, because players like Gana Gueye or Sar isn't going to do a lot in those type of games. So I think Diatta, if he's going to play, is actually a better option. And one of the best players on this list is Sadio Mane, in my opinion. I think he's a little bit overlooked. Senegal, he takes penalties, he's going to be extremely important. He's a forward, he has a low L15, and yeah, I believe just in general he will be a very, very, very good option to have. And yeah, in general, the only downside is, of course, you don't get any utility out of him outside the tournaments in the AFCON tournaments or the cups Al Nassr participate in. But still, I think it can be worth it if you get some good rewards out of him. And yeah, I think that is it. And also, yeah, as I mentioned, if I would personally build a team for the AFCON, I'm actually thinking about making this a little bit of a small series, building an AFCON team. The only thing, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it in limited or rare. If I'm going to do it in rare, it will be very expensive. But my actual plan, and this may sound a bit stupid to someone, that is actually to buy Mendy. Let's look at this rare price. Yeah, buy Mendy, and then buy Koulibaly, and then buy Diatta, and then buy Sadio Mane, and then at the end buy Niakate. But I may do it just in limited, because I feel like it's a little bit too risky to do it in rare, because the prices are very expensive. But that could be a very cool side project for me, because it's not too much happening in January either way, so it's just a perfect time. I think, but I will update you on that one in the future. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye and take care. Peace.